Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to some more StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today it's time for another live game and this time around it is going to be a Terran versus Terran on Arena. Now, in general, Arena is a pretty terrible map to begin with. I am not a big fan of it, and obviously Terran versus Terran is not one of the matchups that I shine at anyway. But anyways, as you may be aware, I have been practicing quite a lot of random. Haven't really done so yet in a new season, but yesterday I spent a lot of time trying to up the amount of games that I had logged on this account, and we actually went in a very, solid win rate. So I'm currently up against a master levels Terran player with the godlike, classic Terran music in the background. Still dig that song so much. That song is amazing. By far the best song, actually. I think out of all StarCraft. It's one of the most typical ones. It's the classic from StarCraft 1, the original. But anyways, I'm thinking I'm gonna be playing a relatively standard Terran versus Terran here, where I focus on some early game Marine play and then switch into things like siege tanks. Now you gotta keep in mind that none of the things I do, and there's actually a second barracks already going on. None of the things I do in particular with Terran are very calculated at all. I am not particularly great at this matchup because I've only played, I don't know, maybe 30-40 games of Terran versus Terran to begin with, and in general it's just something I haven't been practicing nearly as much with yet. So there we go. I'm gonna be following this up with a Reaper right there, and I'm gonna be actually getting the command center very soon. I'm gonna build it in base. There was a second barracks going down from my opponent. I'll leave that dude hanging over there for just a little bit. I want to go for the expansion right here. The second barracks sort of indicates to me that he might be going for some mass marine or like what's it called, Reaper play. So we'll play this super safe and now add on the depot here as well. I've been hovering around here just in case he comes in earlier, which now I think of it doesn't actually make all that much sense. But we'll just play a defensive style here instead. So probably gonna follow this up with another barracks as well, just because he had a second barracks as well, but I obviously did get a bit more economy focus here, so all I need to do is just defend the inevitable aggression here. Now, like I mentioned, okay, I'm by no means a great Terran player when it comes to this matchup. That was a good first hit for me though, actually does make it way easier, and I can follow this up with like another gas geyser here as well, and then potentially another depot. Actually, no, I don't need another depot, now I think about it, I don't really need that. Let's go hit the... oh. That's a pretty good hit. Get him! Get him! Alright. Sadly, we didn't quite get him. I'm gonna go ahead here and also make the factory that I do need to start producing the siege tanks. And now that the command center is finishing up, I can go ahead and actually just fly that towards the low ground. I think this is fine. Gotta go ahead and get a tech lab on there. Okay. Oh. Oh! I did get a kill there. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good hit. He seems to be pretty focused here, though. I'm actually gonna get the upgrade here for the Marauders first. I'll go ahead and just keep on producing more stuff. Okay. Definitely out-microing him so far, so that's nice. Gonna go ahead here and get a tech lab too. And we'll go ahead here and use the Marauder to sort of like, burst in the damage that we're looking for. That Marauder will be super helpful. Oh god. Shouldn't be losing it randomly. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's get a siege tank. And let's make sure that I start up a bunch of the other things as well. So I'm gonna start producing Marines out of practically all of these. Just for the moment at the very least. I do have to slow right now on the Marauders, which does actually help out a lot. Okay. We'll start up a bunker here too. Alright. So far so good. Once this siege tank comes out, I think we're in a great place. Gonna go ahead here and get the double upgrades going, and we'll start muling up. So these guys to the natural as well. And obviously, if I can... ooh, this is actually kind of risky. Okay. Very scrappy so far. Anyways, I do want to make sure I start up another siege tank here. We're gonna be starting up the Stimpack first as well, and then start up a heck of a lot of stuff. Gotta make sure that I start up a missile turret there too. And obviously, I gotta make sure that I don't randomly... Oh my god, no, 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 no. No, 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 siege tank! Oh no! Oh, that's real bad. That is pretty bad. I don't have actually any upgrades yet here for the moment, which is kind of frustrating. I don't know how many Marines it actually takes to kill this. Well, we can probably hit him from here. There we go. And let me go ahead and also add on the upgrades right now, as well as the starport. So you can notice, like, I'm not really playing this very well at all. I mean, there's a lot of shit left to learn as well when it comes to these races. And I'm definitely still messing up in macro as well, right? You can see me make the little tiny slip-ups. Such as, for example, hitting a minor little supply block here. Do I have any energy lined up at the moment? Not really. Well, we got in a second. That's a pretty good hit there. Okay. And let me make sure I have all of these things hotkeyed. So we'll move out when +1/+1 finishes up. And when we are, you know, if you're still alive at that point, once +1/+1 finishes up, and we got a couple of medevacs out at that point as well. So I'm gonna start up my medevac production right now. Okay. That's pretty good for us. I'm actually gonna move this guy backwards just for a little bit. Alright. Very nice of him. Getting into bunker range. Obviously a mistake, but we'll take it. Got combat shield queued up right now as well. And I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead here and add on some of those things. While adding on another siege tank as well. And we'll just start up the macro game here. Don't have quite as many workers as I would like to at this point, but this is looking almighty fine. I'm gonna move out very shortly. +1/+1 is about to finish. I'll go ahead here and make sure I get some more economy going as well. And probably like another gas geyser too. Now I can imagine there's gonna be some Terran players watching this and absolutely cringing at my silly mistakes. That's just like I mentioned because I don't actually exactly know how this matchup is played. I'm just sort of winging it, and we are winning against master level players, so at least we're doing something, right? Oh. Okay. He's gonna try and get in here. Okay, let's bring these dudes. And I'm actually gonna rally right over here in the net trope. Okay. So definitely a little more messy than I wanted it to right there, but we'll go ahead and make another base here. Start saturating this one as well. Get up some depots started and move across the map. So make sure to bring all the siege tanks here. Gonna be starting up +2/+2 as soon as I can. We'll be landing some more mules. Okay. Don't actually have all that many units. But I don't think he will have that many either, because he honestly has been giving me most of my stuff. We'll move this dude forward. Okay, running across the map here. Let me make sure I start up +2 attack as well. Okay. So the early game harass here for him really hasn't been working out all that well. I'm gonna try and basically engage from multiple angles. It's because I know that he won't have very much to do against this. Very good. And he says GG, well played. So while the drop is going on in the main base, and that was obviously decimating a whole lot of his army, we also managed to deal with all of his early game aggression, and we took the main fight as well. So, really sloppy kind of moves, right? You notice I don't really know what timing to get my buildings at. And yet we're winning against master level players. Let's try and figure out exactly what happened. Alright, so there's a couple things that I've learned so far about Terran versus Terran in the recent couple days. First off, Marine Siege Tank Medevac seems to be superior. You can play mechanical units as well, but it's really hard to pull off, and honestly the playstyle is really boring. Now early on, I scouted my opponent, went for the double barracks. I managed to out-micro his early game Reaper shenanigans, which allowed me to get that command center much faster. Now I didn't get much use out of that command center, but early on, the simple control between the units was definitely a little bit better on my end, and it allowed me to hold on to this expansion. Now meanwhile, he obviously was focusing on one base play. He added on a bunch of starports and eventually goes for that expansion. Now, while that's all going on, obviously, I have double mules mining. I've got double mules going up right now while we managed to, you know, definitely not micro perfectly and definitely still make a whole lot of sloppy mistakes. And while I'm not getting my buildings in the right timing and I get a couple supply blocks and I make my buildings a little too late, I don't get my upgrades in time. I mean, I started these two buildings way too early. Everything counted together, it all just comes down to the fact that I got extra mules mining and more workers because of it. I probably could have droned up a little more aggressively, but I'm not sure. This Liberator play didn't seem to be all that great, and while he definitely did some damage with it, we managed to deal with most of the early game stuff just by simply, you know, playing overly safe. So far you can see, like, I'm making a mistake of not constantly producing SCVs. We could have definitely been at like 40 Harfesters right now, which would have easily been the nil in the Coven, but we didn't quite get there. Now, one of the things also that's very important to note, I've noticed in Terran versus Terran, is the upgrades on the Marines. So it's not just Combat Shield and Stimpack. These upgrades right here, the +1/+1, are hugely important. Like, it's the same for Zerg versus Zerg, but I'll go over that in just a little bit. But the upgrades are very, very, very important. I'll show you a little bit more in detail exactly how big of a difference it makes once we actually get to the main fight. But I think it all just really comes down to control early game, where I focus more on economy, he focused more on fighting, and he didn't really get a whole lot out of its, you know, out of the fights, and eventually we just simply managed to overpower him with more units than he had. Alright, so one of the mods that I recently fell in love with is this one right here. It's called the LOTV Unit Tester, and basically what it allows you to do is just simply practice micro or just have the AI fight out battles. So right now we got 25 Marines on either end. Neither of those are currently upgraded, but I just wanted to showcase the difference that upgrades make. So obviously, you know, if it's 25 Marines versus 25 Marines, the results are going to be pretty straightforward. There's obviously always going to be a little bit of randomness as far as the positioning goes. So Red definitely had a little bit of a concave advantage right there. But in general, this should work out practically always, you know, pretty much evenly. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm actually not going to go ahead and use Stimpack just because it messes with the results a little. But I'll go ahead and give both of these players Combat Shield here. But one of the dudes, so this is still going to be played out, you know, pretty similar. However, one of the teams here, the blue ones, I'm going to be giving the +1 infantry and the +1 armor upgrades. Just to showcase the amount of difference that this makes. So keep in mind, no Stimpack here. Left side is going to be unupgraded. Right side is going to be upgraded. And this is true for all matchups, okay? Upgrades, in particular double upgrades, are hugely beneficial. Like in that final engagement there, while my army was bigger as well, the upgrades really is what make that fight. I mean, just such a massive advantage that you can get for just simply upgrading your units. And that is actually something I didn't realize until like a year or two into me playing StarCraft, that upgrades are stupidly important. I mean, that's 25 Marines versus 25 Marines, right? But anyways, I hope at least you found this video a little bit useful. Think of your upgrades, think of your macro, focus economically speaking, and then try and just defend whatever they throw at you. I want to thank you all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!